If you're looking to grow the healthiest cuttings in the shortest amount of time, this is the tool that you need. But here's the thing, this is probably not for you. It comes with these little neoprene inserts. It suspends the plant over a submersible pump, sprays the roots while providing a lot more oxygen. But when you're dealing with aeroids like philodendrons or monsteras, do you really need to be growing these as fast as possible? Especially with the plant market looking the way it is now? I wanted to increase the size of my plant collection. I wanted full pots, copies of philodendrons, and hanging baskets of monsteras. But when I really looked deeper, is that what I wanted? Is that what made me happy? The entire landscape of social media driven plant collecting has changed so much in the last 3 years. It really had me wondering, what makes a good collection?
For me, a good houseplant collection has to tick 3 boxes. Number 1, you have to love and enjoy your plants. This one is self-explanatory. Number 2 is variety. For me, it's important that I have a few climbing plants, a few trailing ones, some with large foliage and some with small, delicate leaves, a few sun-loving and a few shaded plants. With that kind of variety, it truly never gets boring. And number 3 is maintenance. It has to stay manageable somehow. So if I could never buy another plant in my life, I would be happy. If anything, I could probably reduce my collection even more. See ya!
So I asked 6 of my plant friends what makes a good plant collection because I was genuinely curious of what they'd say. I love the third point that Christina made about having your collection stay manageable. I probably have the smallest plant collection from everyone I've asked, and I've never done a plant tour because it would probably make a 5-minute video. And I don't actually think I've ever publicly said how many plants I have, but if you're curious, I only have... Surprised? Yeah, me too. You might know that I've had recent pest issues, including a pretty consistent thrip infestation. They've ravaged my collection, and I've had to throw many of my plants away because I just can't manage the consistent treatment, especially in my small apartment space. So let's talk about the garbage.
For me, the thing that makes a houseplant collection great is having a bin. I mean, who wants an ugly duckling in their home making it look like you don't know what you're doing? If it ain't working, then don't be afraid to lob it out. I'm certainly not. Yellow leaf, bin. Brown tips, bin. Droopy leaves, bin. Not quite the right shade of green, bin. Don't be a martyr and hold on to things that make you unhappy. My bin features so often in my videos that I'm thinking of giving it its own channel. Would be a bit rubbish though. If I could never buy a houseplant again, I think I would be relieved. I have far too many.
I have no shame about throwing plants away either. And we really need to normalize that. I still get comments like, wow, I used to like you, but this is horrible, even if I'm throwing out a thrips-infested plant. You don't need to have an emotional attachment to every single plant that you own. Not everything can be a rescue at all cost. At some point, your mental health needs to come first, and if you're not getting joy from your plant, just throw it out. What gives me joy is growing out my plants to the best of their ability in the space that they've been given. I've grown the best Pilea peperomoides, I'm done with it. I've grown the best mother of thousands, I'm done with it. Even on one of my most popular videos where I've tried to grow the best string of hearts, once I'm done with it, I'm done with it. Maybe I don't actually have a houseplant collection. Maybe to me this hobby is just growing out the best plants that I can until I've proven that I can do it. Someone who's always proving that they can grow the best plants possible is Leafy Diva.
Having a plant collection that has a variety of different textures and leaf shapes and colors and growth habits, all those things collectively work together to make something visually interesting that you are going to enjoy and not get tired of. Now, if you are like me and you are hyper-focused on just a few different genuses, you can still have a diverse plant collection. There are just so many things and so much diversity to appreciate within a specific genus. And with all that said, if I could never buy another houseplant again, I just wouldn't be happy with my collection. Do you ever have those moments when you go into a plant shop or online and you see this beautiful plant that you've never seen before and you're already thinking of ways that you can incorporate it into your plant collection? That's a feeling and an emotion that's special. It's a good feeling.
Now, Dana is not making the case to buy up every plant that you see. She really thinks deeply about design and color and really focuses on what goes well in her collection. We are not advocating for retail therapy with houseplants. An uncomfortable question a lot of houseplant collectors need to ask themselves is, do I like houseplants or do I have a shopping addiction? Do I need a new plant or am I just unhappy?
Howdy hey, I'm Hippio Plants, also known as Hippio Tech. And when I think of what makes a good houseplant collection, a few things come to mind. Number one, it's not about how many plants you have. Trust me, I have over 200 houseplants, and I can tell you that the amount of joy that I got wasn't necessarily linear with the amount of plants that I got. Oh, also, hi Noah, thank you for joining. Okay. Which brings me to my next point, and it's kind of sappy and definitely not the best answer, but what makes a good houseplant collection is kind of what makes you happy. This could be collecting all of a plant of a certain type that you really enjoy. For me, it's random peperomias or a poison dart frog tank. If I could never buy another houseplant again, I would be happy with my collection. I really would be. I'm quite proud of what I built.
Now, my friend Hippio is an interesting case because he also makes content about keyboards, and I bring this up because he pretty frequently brings in 5 to 11 million views on his shorts and Instagram reels. He knows the systems of how to get views. So, do you remember in 2020 and 2021 when the best way to get views on plant Instagram was making comedy content, but the punchline was having a shopping addiction? Think of how many reels you saw with hundreds of thousands of views, and that was just the whole thing. Anyway, that was a weird time. Yeah, it was relatable, but we were being weird.
You have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
I think we need someone to bring us back down to earth.
Okay, let's be real. You know those alocasias, calatheas, and maidenhair ferns that just refuse to stay alive? If they're giving you a hard time, it's okay to let them go. A good plant collection isn't about struggling with plants that just don't click with you. This isn't a last plant standing competition. Think about what you really like. If your thing is cacti and succulents, go for it. Don't worry about keeping up with the latest Instagram trend like that monstera constellation everyone's raving about. It's your space, your vibe. If you're one of those who gets a kick out of nurturing those so-called difficult plants like the enigmatic Calathea or Bifolia, more power to you. The point is, your collection should be full of plants that you're excited to care for. It's not about the quantity or what others think. The best part? Having your plants up in a cozy corner or place in your home where you can chill, maybe smell the soil, or in my case, the leca. That's the sweet spot. And you know what? If I could never buy another houseplant again, I'd be happy with my collection.
Like Nora said, we just need to enjoy our collection, and we need to enjoy our homes. If plants aren't doing that or they're not creating that space for us, then why do we have them? We must define what makes a good collection for ourselves, and I think this is the question that we should be asking ourselves every so often, and maybe even with every new plant that we get for ourselves. Here's someone who really knows themselves.
So what makes a good houseplant collection for me, if I had to define it in just one word, is I think variety. And I don't mean that means you have to have like the biggest, broadest houseplant collection, because I definitely don't think I do. But I just mean having plants that fulfill you in a way that others don't. Like finding the individuality within plants and finding something that excites you differently in all of them. And for me, when a plant is not doing that for me in my collection anymore, that's when I know it's probably time to pass it on to a new home. But if I couldn't acquire any more plants, I would obviously be sad, because I do absolutely love bringing new plants into my collection and getting to know them and kind of challenging myself to grow them in different ways. But at the same time, I am so happy with my collection as is, and I feel like there's always more that I could be getting out of my existing plants. I feel like I would still be fulfilled.
Thanks, Claire, and remember, do whatever you want. I'm not your supervisor.